Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 16th March 2017. The first article, Saffron Storm in Uttar Pradesh. Here we will be discussing about takeaways from the recent elections. The first one is nationalization of the local elections. In India, the narrative was always opposite. The local issues have dominated the general elections for the first time. The national issues are dominating the local elections. And second thing is the minorities are religious and communal divide in India. So let us take the view of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar over here. In a democracy, the discourse shall not be between majoritarian versus minoritarianism. Because if the country gets divided on majority and minority lines, obviously the rights of the minorities comes into danger. So the divides among the majority will be a protection to the minority. And it makes the democracy to work with checks and balances. So this fine balance appeared to be disturbed as the country is getting polarized on the communal lines. And the third thing is the social justice. So the concerns of the social justice are the cleavages among the majority. So in this context, the politics of the social justice are also showing a fatigue, and they have their own limitations. The major reason is the politics of social justice in India were reduced to reservations. So in this context, only certain sections of OBCs and Dalits they got benefited from the reservations, and there is a lot of resentment among the other groups. The BJP was able to mobilize these other subgroups which did not majorly benefit from the existing reservation pattern. So it means that the identities, the caste based identities, they did not become irrelevant in India, they just got broad based. And finally, the propaganda machinery. It means that today we are in the world of alternative facts, or it is called as post-truth world, where a narrative is repeatedly being presented to the consumption by social media. Either it is truth or false, it will be spread on a wildfire. So the alternative facts are the false news which are not substantiated by evidence and spread like a wildfire. So this propaganda machinery is actively working across the political parties in India. So these are the things which we need to understand. And then the recent Sukma encounter or the recent setbacks faced by the CRPF at Sukma. The Chhattisgarh government has stated that the Naxal menace has come down, but the recent attack on CRPF and killing of their men clearly shows that the extremist force is still strong in Chhattisgarh and Sukma is their hard ground. So, in this context, the major challenges are this. The CRPF, a central force, is operating without proper coordination in state police forces. So, the standard operating protocols, the strengthening of intelligence machinery, coordination with the state police force is imminent to fight this menace. And the second is the development of relations with the local people and deepening of democracy, development as a basic need that also will help in the long run to fight the Naxalism. And coming to the crimes of apartheid, it is related to the Israel. So, UN Commission on Social and Economic Issues in West Asia, it has clearly stated that Israel is practicing apartheid against the Palestinians. So let us see this way. Palestinians are divided in the Israel narration into four types. Who are the Israel citizens, and then who are living in Gaza and West Bank, who are living in East Jerusalem, and the people who are the refugees. So even for the citizens of Israel, there are no equal rights along with the Jews. So there is zoning criteria which has been followed. It means that the Palestinians they cannot move freely from one zone to the other zone without the security checks. And second thing is they don't have equal rights to buy land or property or home in Israel. And with regard to the refugees, the situation is much worse. Already on the West Bank, it is constructing the Jewish settlements. And these people, the Israeli citizens, the Palestinian citizens of Israel, though they have the voting rights, the Article 7A of the Basic Law, it clearly states that the Jewish character of the state can never be changed for. So it means that there are many limitations in the law itself which makes the Israel citizens or Palestinian citizens of Israel as secondary citizens. So in this context, the UN Economic and Social Commission for West Asia clearly states or suggests two measures. A clear inquiry has to be taken up in Israel actions, and also the officers responsible for this apartheid shall be brought to justice. It's complicated. Let's go to Turkey. In Turkey, you know that Erdogan is the president, but presidential powers are limited. So, last or else 2 years back, before the elections in Turkey, he conducted a referendum to change the constitution, but the referendum lost the people's support. Now, he is back onto the referendum again to shift the country from a parliamentary system to a presidential system. It means the president office is going to gain more powers in the new system. So, Erdogan, a right wing leader in Turkey, he tries to assert his power through constitutional changes. And in referendum, the Turkish citizens who are in the other countries can also vote. So, most of, or else the President Erdogan wants to take rallies in the European Union. And European Union countries did not allow for the same, fearing the growth and criticism from the right wing, especially in the countries that are going for election Germany, France, Netherlands, etc. This has led Erdogan to criticize them as Nazi, fascist, etc. So we need to remember one thing. European Union is the largest trade partner for the Turkey, and Turkey is the part of the NATO. The mutual dependence exists for the same. And second is the Turkey threatens European Union that it will move away from the recent deal on the immigrants, where Turkey will take the immigrants who have illegally entered the European Union and will take certain foreign aid economic benefit from the European Union. It stated that it will move away from that. So if you take the Turkey's economic situation into consideration, so no such a move is possible. But however, we have to understand that the long-term implications has to overweigh the short-term benefits, and Erdogan shall be sent this message strongly. Now let's come to Open It page, a lost opportunity. It is about recent maternity benefits bill. So here the maternity benefits or maternity leave is raised from the existing 12 weeks to 26 weeks. So it's a welcome move. But who have to bear the cost of these 26 weeks of absence? That is the companies, that is the employers. So in most of the countries where the maternity benefit is been given, the cost is shared by the government. So what are the major implications of this? Now today employer will think twice before he has to employ an young reproductive woman into the job. So obviously in the formal sector, as the woman percentage itself is low, this is going to further decrease the gender diversity. And second, there is no concept of paternal leave in India. It means that the child care has been reinstated as the responsibility of the woman rather than a shared responsibility men and women. And on the other hand, the maternity benefit was given only to the women in formal sector. It means that only 18 lakh of women are going to get benefited from this, and most of the women in India work in the informal sector. So these are the issues over here. Coming to the Brexit issue. So an exit from Brexit. So it is about the Scotland issue of referendum. Now UK is made up of the Britain, Northern Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. Now the Scots, there is a long-standing demand for independence. But however, in the first referendum held, majority of the Scots have rejected to break away from UK. But now the situation is no better because the low oil prices have shattered the Scotland economy, and UK is the largest trade partner for the Scotland, and European Union is not willing to readily admit the Scotland if it breaks away from UK, as it sends wrong message to the other partners like Spain, where the cessationist movements are strong. So, what made the Scotland to demand for second referendum? Again, it is independence. During the first referendum, it was clearly stated by UK that they will be given greater voice and choice to determine their way of life. Now, after the Brexit referendum, the Scotland voted unanimously or very much in favor of retaining in European Union. But however, the rest of the Europe did not favor for the same. So The Scots wants to have single European market for economic gain. On the other hand, UK promises them for the other markets such as Indian market for the sale of their goods like Scottish whisky. So now the Scotland moving away from UK is neither in the interests of UK nor in the interests of the Scotland if you take economic integration between these two into consideration. And then comparing the budgets. So Indian budget is around $53 billion. Chinese is $150 billion and US is around $600 billion with regard to defense budgets are concerned. So India is only one third of the Chinese budget, and we need to remember one more thing: the dual-use goods, that is civil and military goods, they are being accounted as the civil goods in China, but in India they are accounted as the defense equipment. So if you take into this consideration, the Chinese defense expenditure is largely understated. It is expected to be double the amount of stated expenditure. Let's get into the business page. The banks again is the farm loan waiver in UP. So when you loan waiver, it is going to kill the credit discipline. People becomes habituated and looking forward for the government to loan waivers rather than repaying the loan. So that's why bankers are worried about any loan waiver that comes across. And bad loan slowing remains a challenge. You know that the non-performance assets in India is a bigger challenge, but growth of NPAs is decreasing slowly. But still, they are a bigger challenge. The reason is the entire public sector's decision making is stuck because of the non-performance assets. And second, the economic survey has recommended for the asset rehabilitation agency in the public sector. So the finance ministry is strongly considering the same. Coming to Fed raises the interest rates. As employment and growth have become stable, the Fed is trying to coming back to the normal interest rates. So in this way, in the future for the next 2 years in United States, interest rates are expected to grow up. Exports climb for a sixth straight month. So exports are growing in India. It's majorly due to the oil and petroleum refineries. And second, but the trade deficit is getting widened because of increase in imports, especially the oil petroleum goods value has increased, the commodity prices value is going up. Now let us see this article. Center unveils a plan for extra export infra. Previously in the UPSC you had a question on SIT, which is assistance for the states for infrastructure development related to exports. Now it is being replaced and a new policy or new program is going to come up, that is trade infrastructure for exports. Previously, the center used to give the funds to the states to develop export infrastructure. Now, the center is going to be directly involved in the development of export infrastructure. That is what has been stated by Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman. And then, the post polls, all political parties must support labor reforms. So, especially the retrenchment of the employees is going to be easy under the new labor code. So, the government is seeking the support from the opposition as government lacks the support in Rajya Sabha. And added to that, the government is also trying to raise the safety measures for the workers at the work area. So these reforms are need to be taken forward. That's what is Labour Minister Mr. Ease norms for foreign investors, that is Zoomcar CEO talks about this. So now let's come to the news page. I'm bigger role for PHCs in health policy. So here we need to understand that the right to health is a movement across various states. But however, the central government is not willing to give it as a right, but it as an entitlement rather than as a dole. So primary healthcare centers are being given important role in this process. As of now, PHCs are concerned with very basic services. We are moving away from these basic services to various screening tests and also treatments at the PHC level. So the PHCs are going to become the backbone in the comprehensive health services that government is planning to provide for in the new health policy, that which has been approved by the Prime Minister and Cabinet recently. So now, coming to the world page, the census are being taken up in the Pakistan for the first time in the 19 years. And then the Israel has imposed an apartheid regime, which we have discussed already. I have given the notes in the last page. Please try to go through that. And this notes is available to you at laix.in/civilsprep. Now, thank you very much.